Welcome to my balcony. These past few months have been quite a ride, haven't they? I bet most of you at one time in your career said, boy, I'd really like to work from home, but you're rethinking that right now. In conference calls that we've had over time, I've heard and seen lots of crazy things. I know you're working in your homes. You might have a partner who works, maybe even a parent who works. There's conference calls going on in different corners of your house. There's moms, there's dads, there's aunts, there's uncles, abuelos y abuelas, kids, babies, toddlers, teenagers, sucking up all the bandwidth with the latest version of some game. I don't even know the games. Some game that is creating quality of service issues with your phone call. All of that craziness has been going on and kind of makes you understand the realities of working from home. I've had a lot of people in conference calls over the months tell me that they never worked so hard. Because your home life and your work life are one and the same. You get up in the morning, you check your cell phone, you check your computer, you work through the day, you get up, you walk to the refrigerator, you get some food, you sit back down, you work some more, and there is no going home time because you're already at home. So it can really, create some challenges, and the reality certainly appears to be different than the dream. For me, it's been very quiet in my home, and I've had some people say, Joel, you're so lucky, and perhaps, but I think that some of the challenges of working at home by yourself might not necessarily resonate with you, but I can give you some of my experiences. The first week I liked it. I mean, it was quiet. I would get up and have my lunch. I'd put the radio on, I'd listen to the radio. At the end of the day, I'd turn the computer off and I'd go and I'd relax. And there was no noise in my life. There was no banter throughout the day. The only communication I had was obviously on the phone or in phone calls. But after about a week or so, you start to think about things you'd like to do. I mean, it is different to work from home and being forced to stay at home. So I think some things that I, in the early weeks, some things I saw is I started to think about places that I'd want to go or trips. And I think when somebody takes something away from you, you want it more. And since I couldn't go out and travel, I started thinking about traveling. I started to think about taking an airplane, and as I take off from the Comalap airport, you fly out over the city of San Salvador. I could see that in my mind's eye. I could envision going to places that I'd visited in the past, big cities, small cities, places in the countryside, things that I have fond recollections of. And for some strange reason, I recollected simple things like I remember an ice cream man pushing his cart down the street, and the little bell, ring, 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 yelling, helados, helados, and people running up, and I went over to see and bought myself a little chupita. At any rate, those are fun memories, and those were things that I started to gravitate towards in my mind because I didn't have any other distraction. But that only goes so far, and a few weeks in, you don't go outside. You really don't have any kind of conversation in and around you. So I started to make friends with people in my condo here. And in my dining room, I've got three very nice ladies. They hang on the wall, and whenever I sit down to have my meal, they're right there. And so I start to talk to them. And before you start laughing, there's not a person out there, you talk to yourself. And you know what I mean. Well, when you get to the part of when you're talking to yourself and you're having both sides of the conversation, that's kind of a sign when you've been alone a little bit too long. For example, I was thinking about this. I had a little bit of chuckle to myself the other day, and it's a story I want to tell you. So I had misplaced my cell phone, like we all do. And I was looking around the house for my cell phone, and I said to myself, audibly, I could say it out loud, and I go, gee, Joel, where'd you put your cell phone? And I answered myself and said, you know, if you would have put it where it belonged, you wouldn't be looking for it now, which bothered me a little bit. So I said, you know, you could be more help by helping me find it than by telling me what I did wrong. And then I said, you know what you could do? You could go to your computer and call yourself on Teams, and when your phone rings, you'll know where it is. And I was like, that's a great idea. And I was happy. And I thought, you know what's really funny? I just had a disagreement with myself, and I won, and I'm happy about it. And I thought that was strange and funny. So at any rate, in the evening hours, I sit in my dining room and I have dinner, and these three ladies are there, and so I'd have a conversation with these three ladies, and we became fast friends over the weeks. Another person that's really, I think, been interesting and I think sort of an inspiration in my life is I met a shaman. There's a shaman in my house, and I was able to take the mysteries of the world to the shaman. And things that we've all asked, what's the meaning of life? Why are we here? What's it all about? Where do we go after this life? So all of those big spiritual what-if kind of questions, I was able to have a good discussion with my shaman friend. And we've all got a friend like this, so when I tell you about this, don't pretend like I'm the only one. We've all got a crazy friend or a crazy relative. They live life on their own terms. They are unapologetic, they do what they want to do, and they are out there large and in charge. And sometimes they influence us, and they get us to do crazy things as well. And I have a friend just like that here at the condo. So it's been fun developing sort of relationships with people who have been in my house for forever. And really up until just recently, we're just paintings on a wall. So after I'd exhausted all my repertoire of having conversations about politics with the ladies, spiritual conversations with my shaman friend, and then kind of singing rock and roll songs with my crazy friend, I thought, you know, but I still want more. I was still thinking about the travel. You know, again, I think it has to do with when you're in a quarantine situation and you are not allowed to go out. We're all human, right? We want what we can't have. And so I wanted to travel. So like many of you, I'm flipping through my social media, I'm clicking through channels, I'm looking for anything and everything that seems interesting on TV. And I have discovered there's a whole new YouTube out there. For those of you that think YouTube's videos are just kind of fun and strange and interesting things, it's not. Look up documentaries. Look up the volcano Ilopango and see its place in world history. And I mean world history. We think about things like that as just kind of local phenomena, but if you go and look on YouTube, you'll see that Ilopango, in fact, changed the world, you know, literally thousands of years ago. You should go check it out. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to tell you. So I'm looking at YouTube. I love travel documentaries. And so I'm watching these travel documentaries. I'm discovering these new places. I'm thinking, you know, when this quarantine's over, I'm going to go there. And but something funny as I sit and watch these travel documentaries, they always show you food. And I thought, you know, I'm sitting here watching these travel documentaries, and I'm always getting hungry. And then I'm in my refrigerator, and nothing looks good. After I just saw this fabulous food in Northern Europe or in Central Africa, Ethiopian food, for example, looks delicious. So I'm thinking, you know, I have a great idea. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to prepare some food that are from a certain area of the world, and then I'm going to watch a travel documentary that coincides with the food that I'm eating. And so I put my little plan together. I searched, you know, on Facebook and Googled recipes and things like that. And I came up with stuff that was easy enough for me to do. I could get the ingredients here locally, and then I started my little baking video, you know, sessions. Now, I know everybody can relate to this because you've all been to the supermarkets over the past couple months, and all of you, I know, have looked for something and it hasn't been there. Because everybody's baking, everybody's cooking. For example, to find chocolate chips for chocolate chip cookies all of a sudden is impossible in San Salvador. So I remember finding those one day in a supermarket, in the Super Selecto, and I probably bought 10 bags because I thought that's why I can have chocolate chip cookies whenever I want them, which is kind of funny because now I'm making chocolate chip cookies and I'm giving them away because I'm too here with chocolate chip cookies. So anyway, I start my little food video extravaganza, and I put together sort of a world tour, and I thought, you know what I'd like to do is I took some pictures. I'm proud, like we all are, and of the things we make, and so I'm going to share some of those pictures with you in the parts of the world that it comes from. So first stop on the tour is Venezuela. I don't know if you've had arrrrrrepas, but I love arrrrrrepas, and I went and I was able to find masa arrepa, which is hard to find in San Salvador. I made arrrrrepas. I went to Holland on another trip, and I love Dutch baby pancakes with cinnamon rolls. And it's so easy to make. You need to look it up and make this in your house sometime. Then Korean food. This is actually a food that we don't think of much, but there's a couple of really great Korean restaurants here in San Salvador. So I made some Korean food, loved the flavors, really profound and deep flavors. And I'm Italian, as most of you know. My dad's Italian, my mom's Italian. Neither one of my parents would have been happy if I didn't at least eat my way through Italy. So I watched several videos on all different cities in Italy. And did I mention I love pizza? And I love pizza. So anyway, quite a big tour through Italy. China. If you've never made pork buns or you've never had pork buns, it's something you got to try. You can get them in the bocadillas taiwanesas in Escalon, but pork buns, delicious. Made them at home, fantastic. That's going to be a regular on the menu here in my household. Street tacos, as most of you know, born and raised in Southern California. Good Mexican food is where it's at in LA, San Diego area. And so we had street tacos, huevos rancheros, and of course, I'm gringo, and we have to put sliders. You know, amen or props to the northeastern part of the United States. Steak and potatoes, props to the Midwest. Chili and cheese, props to the southwest portion of the country. And last but not least, bacon and eggs, and breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. Of course, I make the best mojito this side of Cuba, and I wrapped it all up with a trip to the Caribbean. So anyway, that's my food. Well, I hope you enjoyed my world food tour and all the different things that I made. It was fun for me to do it, and I certainly enjoyed eating them all. But I wanted to share that with you. I thought it was a good time. On a more serious note, I think this whole pandemic came up on us like a wave, and when we had our back turned to the ocean. I remember being in Los Angeles at my parents' house for the Christmas holiday, and near the end of December flying back from Los Angeles to San Salvador. I'm sitting in the airport waiting for my flight. The airport was packed. There were a lot of people. Another passenger came and sat next to me, and we started to chat. Just where are you going? Where are you from? All those kinds of things. And we were noticing people with masks, but not very many. I mean, we might have saw 10 or 15 people that walked through the airport with masks. And we started a conversation about it, about, that looks weird. Why are they wearing masks? So there's some flu or something going on in Asia or China. But I wouldn't wear a mask. Would you wear a mask? No, are you kidding me? That's craziness. I mean, how uncomfortable must that be? And look how silly you look. I remember telling them that they're never going to allow masks in airports because they need to be able to identify you and make sure that you're the same person flying that's on your passport and all that good kind of stuff. And naturally, I was able to fly home and come to San Salvador. I spent New Year's here in San Salvador. It was a good time. February comes rolling along, and everyone, not everyone, but I mean many of you know that February is my birthday. And so I decided to do something kind of quiet, chill for my birthday. And I went out to Costa del Sol. I stayed on the beach for for my birthday weekend. So while I'm on the beach, I remember on my birthday day, was Saturday morning, I got up real early in the morning, like 5:30 in the morning, and I went out to the beach because I wanted to be walking along the beach as the sun came up. And I was walking the beach, and the water felt great, and the air smelled just, it was delicious. I really enjoyed breathing that crisp ocean air. And then I remember the sun coming up, and the warmth hit my face, and the water was, the sun was reflecting off of the water, and it just felt so good. And I thought, boy, it just doesn't get better than this. And later that day, after my morning walk, I went up to the pool area, and I hung out in the pool, and I remember people were starting to show up, and families are coming, and there was this little kid, as a matter of fact, who had a floaty, and the wind was blowing, and the floaty blew away, and I was able to grab it for him and give it to his mom, and how happy he was that he had his little floaty back. And then I was in the pool on my birthday and hanging out, and I remember seeing people getting drinks and coconuts. And I think a lot of you might take this for granted because you were born and raised here in El Salvador, but for me and many other gringos, drinking a coconut is really pretty cool. And so I got a drink in a coconut with a little umbrella, and it was great. Little did I know that a few weeks later, in March, we would be in a countrywide shutdown, confined to quarters, as they say. In other words, unable to leave our house, quarantined. Worse is, even if you could go out, you could only go to the supermarket, the pharmacy, doctor, or the bank. Everything else was closed. So really, we had really just kind of gone from normal life to life shut down. And I think it came all upon us all very quickly. I had just come back from my birthday at the beach. It was easy to be upset about what I didn't have. It was easy to look out on a bright sunny day, not much like today, but on a sunny day, and say, gee, I really would love to be able to go to the beach. But something occurred to me, and I remember many years ago when I was upset about something simple like the story I just told you, about not having that available in my life. A friend of mine who was older than me and had quite a bit more experience in life said, you know, Joel, I cried because I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet. Now, I would come to learn later that was actually a quote by Gandhi, but at the time and through the years up until today, it's always been meaningful to me, irrespective of who said it. I think it's so easy to look at something that we had and we don't have, and to forget or ignore all the blessings in our life that we do have. For example, I have a roof over my head. I have food in the refrigerator. I have friends here in El Salvador and in the United States. I have family that loves me and cares for me. I mean, those are blessings that go well beyond a day drinking a rum drink out of a coconut. But it was easy to fall prey to being upset and disappointed until I was able to remember all the things that I should be grateful for. So I'm going to encourage you to don't look at this pandemic as something you could have had and didn't have. Look at it as all that you do have. Live a life of gratefulness. Be grateful every day for all the blessings in your life. The glass is always half full, not half empty. Another thing that I think is really easy to happen, and I've had a lot of people say this to me, is they've said, Joel, it's never going to be the same. It's never going to go back to the way it was. And to that I say, amen. Change is good. Change is where the opportunities are in life. We should embrace change and not be afraid of it. So, and I'm telling you something actually that each and every one of you know. I think, though, sometimes it's good to have someone remind us of what we already know. And the reason I know you know is because I know you today. And for me to know you today means you had to exist prior to today. So in kind of a little experiment, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to, for a moment, imagine yourself before today. And I want you to think big. I don't want you to be a year before or 4 years before. I don't want you to be Facebook before. I want you to go all the way back to how about the 5-year-old you? When you were 5 years old, or when you were at an age that you just are now having memories that you carry with you today. You started to be able to remember what life was like, and you still have those memories today. I want you to think back to the 5-year-old you. And I want you to imagine for a minute, did you worry about where your meal was coming from? Did you worry about who was going to pay the rent? I mean, your biggest concern was if you had enough toys to play with, or if your mom or dad or brother or sister or grandfather or grandmother took away a toy that you wanted. Maybe you wanted to watch TV and they told you couldn't because you had to do something else. Those were the biggest problems in your life. And I'm sure if you look at it compared to today, those pale by comparison. That was nothing. But the important message here is you don't want to still be your 5-year-old you. Why? Because the today you has traveled with your friends independently of your mom and dad. The today you maybe went to school, got a certificate, undertook an activity, learned to play a sport, learned another language that the 5-year-old you couldn't have done. It required all that change, the change between the 5-year-old you and the change to today for you to have those successes. A great example is between then and now, you fell in love. You had wonderful moments with your family. Some of you have had children, and a big blessing that is, that you just couldn't have done then. And in order to have the things you have today and to be the person you are today, you had to embrace the change between 5 and today. So I know everyone knows that change is where the opportunities are. However, some of you might say, well, wait a minute, Joel. Not all change is good. So how can you say change is where the opportunities are? And I'm going to stick to my guns. It is where the opportunities are. And it is true, all change is good. Sometimes, that doesn't mean all change is pleasant or that we like it. Oftentimes, if we've, I suggested that when with the change you had in your life, you might have had the feeling or opportunity to fall in love. I'm certain that everybody has had their heart broken at least once, some more. I'm certain that everybody has had a negative setback in their lives. I'm certain that all of us have lost a job or missed an opportunity that we thought we were perfect for, and that just didn't come to pass. And we were saddened by it, and there was some angst. Everybody who's listening to me right now certainly has had a loved one pass. Many of our brothers and sisters at LSI, this has been a recent occurrence, and as I've spoken to those folks on the phone and talked to them about the person who was close to them that passed, even in this moment of darkness and upset and questions as to why this would happen and this would happen now, there's a bright light trying to shine through, and that light is this person was a leader. This person taught me how to catch a ball. This person taught me what it was to be a man or to be a woman. This person showed me how I can be a leader in my own family. There's this light that's trying to shine through, and as the grief and the sadness gives way to the memory and properly placing in your life who this person was, even that very negative change, the thing that creates this overwhelming sense of sadness, can become positive and a guiding light for who you are. I can tell you through my own personal experience, and many of you would have the same experience, that after these moments of just profound sadness, where there might even be times you look at it and you just say, why? This is so terrible. It just didn't need to be, but why? As time has distanced us from that change, we've started to pull the whys out. We became better. We became happier. We lived fuller lives based on the experience that we had as time put distance between us and the negative event that we thought was wrong or just not a fit for our lives. It's all meant to be part of us, because we couldn't be who we are today if we didn't have all the experiences we had as our life changed, both good and bad. So when we talk about this pandemic, we talk about, oh, it'll never be the same, it's forever changed. I want you to join me in saying amen. And we don't want it to be the same, because through this negative experience, as we roll through it and we learn from it, we will come out the other side. We will overcome this. This is not the end. This is a new beginning. And I'd encourage you to see it that way. I can tell you that what I know will happen is maybe a year from now, maybe 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now, you'll be able to sit with friends, family, social events, and you're going to be able to talk about the great pandemic of 2020. I was there. Here's what it was like. You can help others that didn't experience or were too young to experience. You can give them a peek into the past so their lives can be better. You are not only building yourself through this change, but you're also going to be in a position to help others build themselves. Embrace this change. Let it become part of us, and let's make the world better once we come out the other side. I want you to take a moment, think about that. Let go of the lamenting of it's never going to be the same, it'll never be like this, it'll never be like that. You know why? It's good. It's going to be better. And let's look forward to that better day together. Soon, I'm going to see some of you in the office, hopefully all of you in the office. And when we see each other, I hope that you have a nice big smile on your face. I will have one. We will certainly be wearing masks, so you won't necessarily be able to tell. But I'm going to come to the office with the expectation that even though I can't see your face because it'll be behind a mask, I'll know in my heart of hearts you're smiling. And similarly, when you see me, even though you won't be able to see my face, I want you to know I'm smiling back. I'm looking forward to what tomorrow brings, and I hope you are too. Listen, I'd like you to stay healthy. I'd like you to be happy, stay strong, and we'll see you at the office. God bless.